this one, the OneDrive sharing experience and sensitivity labels. This is coming out, already happened, as I mentioned. They apologized. But what you're going to see is if you actually have your admins that have deployed sensitivity labels to OneDrive and SharePoint, what you're going to start seeing is when you go ahead and say, I want to share this with somebody, you're going to start seeing that sensitivity label information that's going to be sitting there. So if it says confidential, then they know that beforehand, right? And so whatever internally that means that you're not supposed to share that externally or whatever, those things are going to apply at that point. But then you know as you're setting that up. This is important for your end user. So make sure you're notifying them, letting them know of this change, and it's already out there. So get it out there as soon as you possibly can. All right, so as you know, in a lot of the Microsoft products, we have this ability to be able to do commenting. Word, PowerPoint, Excel, we have those capabilities. But coming here, rolling out in late February, January to February, is we're going to be able to get the same comment experience in Microsoft Whiteboard as maybe you're collaborating and working on content there. You're going to be able to actually add those comments into the board and be able to then fully produce whatever content that you need to be able to do at that point. So the comments pane will be available. You'll be able to get that information and see all the comments made specifically to that. Understand that this is in your desktop web experiences. It's not going to be available in your iOS or Android, and then let your end users know this capabilities. On the stream side, and when I talk about stream, I'm talking about stream on SharePoint. So in there, we have this capability of you can see that transcript that was produced in a meeting that was recorded, sent up into SharePoint and started in SharePoint or into OneDrive. So one of the things that is coming here now, starting in targeted release late November, going through mid-January 2023, and then generally available across from mid-January to February 2023, is the ability to be able to search through that transcript. And so you can find exactly where somebody was saying something specific. If you find it, you click on it. Obviously, that is going to take you to that portion of the video so you can see exactly what's going on at that moment. So keep that in mind that this is a single video experience. If you do want to be able to do this across multiple videos, then you can go to MN365 search. Transcripts are available to be able to be searched against using the built-in search capability. Then you can jump to that video and do a little bit more detailed search if you need to. Notify your users, update your knowledge base, let them know what's going on. Question from Jason, do you know, can you use trimming in the new stream or do you still have to use classic? Ooh, I don't recall, Jason, if the trimming has come out yet. I knew that was going to be in the new. If it hasn't come out, it should be coming out. Let me follow up and see, or if one of my colleagues can look into it, we'll let you know, Jason. Good question. All right, one change on the Power BI side of things. Retirement of this section called Getting Started. If you're in the service, in the web version of it, you're going to notice that this is going to change. And I know a lot of people like that Getting Started because it gave them a lot of that how-to and get started type of thing. So starting in January 2nd, and it is specifically January 2nd, 2023, this is going to change. In the service, you're going to see a recommended console, and then it's going to have tiles in there to do different things. That's changing. So you have the Power BI basics, you have sample reports, and you have how to create a report. That's what it is currently. Some of those areas are going to be changing and moving. So for instance, sample reports, you're going to find that in Knowledge Center. You're going to be able to see, how to create a report. You're going to see that in the Learn area within Power BI. So some of that stuff is getting moved. It's not removed. It's just getting changed, right? Those types of things. All right. And I think I saw there was a little bit of a thing going on. Somebody checking on that last question. Didn't see it happening yet. Looked last week, it was in Trivia. Trivia is not going to be in the new stream for at least a year, Eileen is saying. So let's double check and we can see what's going on with that. Thanks, guys. All right, another big change. I want to make sure that you guys are seeing this. February 27th, 2023, another one that's very specific. All right, so identity service, the authenticator number matching is going to be enabled for all MS Authenticator users. This is a more, let's say this is a really good thing because it's really going to help. Say, for instance, I want to know exactly what app is requesting this, and I want to see that location, right? Because it's going to be a lot easier for me as the end user to really understand, oh, I didn't do this. I'm not in that location. No, it's not me. Or yeah, that's me. Very easily I can do that, right? That's part of it. The other part is the number aspect of it, right? So it's literally going to give you a number that you're going to have to validate and say, this is the one I see. Let's go ahead and do that, validate that. You as an administrator can turn on other things like application specific or geolocation specific stuff that is going to help enhance that experience so that the user knows exactly what's going on. Yeah. So I think it's a great addition to MFA. The one thing to know is this will not work with, and I know there's a few of us that have Apple Watches out there. The iWatch, it does not work with that. It has to be a phone-based authentication. It can't be on the Apple Watch to be able to do that. So keep that in mind. Notify your users, please. Update their knowledge base. Make sure they understand what's going on. All right. Another change that's happening in Teams, preview of this toolbar usability improvements is happening here in January. And I will tell you, from some of us, I have access to it already. I like the change. It's just going to you got to get used to it a little bit. And specifically what I'm talking about, there's a couple things that have been moved out of the more menu. So you're going to see things like my pointer here. You'll see raise your hand is separated from reactions, right? So reactions and raise your hands are separate now, right? So that's important to keep that in mind. Exactly. I know. And how many times have you gone into the reaction side of things? You're like, oh, where is it? And miss it, right? The other thing too is the view is moved from the more options, right? So now I have the view. I click on view. I can see all my options there very quickly, very easily see what's going on there. So these things are happening. Notice the times. We even have dates and times for government clouds. Make sure you guys see that. But preview January 2023, GA mid-January to late February. So be looking for these things. Get ready. Get your documentation ready. Let people know that it's going to be, because it's going to be a big change. Let them know what's going on. All right, the other thing that's going to happen in the team side of things is, if you guys are familiar with Microsoft Teams meetings, breakout rooms, we had this thing that I think it was a few months ago came out that said that you can set up what's called a breakout room manager. The only person that could do that would be a co-organizer, and then they'd have to set the breakout managers. What's changing here is preview here in December, standard mid-January to end of January is, if you're set as a co-organizer after the fact, you are now, or after the meeting's been created, you're now added as a co-organizer. You now have access to the breakout rooms. Prior to this, you didn't. You would have to added as a breakout room manager to be able to be anything with that. So now, as a co-organizer, you can go in there and manage that after the meeting has started. That's the one caveat to this. You can't do anything pre-assigned, right? So pre-create, pre-assigned, you can't do any of that. That's still the organizer of that meeting. But now at least I don't have to give the co-organizer, breakout room manager responsibility. They can just jump in and start doing things after the fact. All right. Another update coming. It's called Microsoft Teams Companion Device Experience. And this is really optimizing the video. So those people who are in the room, and this is the experience, those people who are in the room with a laptop and doing an MTR, what's going to happen here is it's going to literally remove those people from that meeting so you don't see duplicates, right? So if you're in that, user joins the meeting in the Teams room with a personal device in their room, presence will be removed from that Teams device, that meeting room device, and that's the other piece. That room needs to have Microsoft Teams meeting room in there. And it's using proximity join or the Bluetooth proximity join to be able to beaconing, I should say, to be able to understand who's in there and so they can remove them if needed. All right, so if that's disabled, you're not going to be able to see that. One of the things that the Message Center did mention is that if you do want to have somebody on that MTR display, so to speak, you still can find them and pin them from the people picker, on the MTR device. But this change is going to be, I think it's going to be important, and it allows them to be able to say, oh, I don't need to see myself in there, even though I'm in the meeting on the laptop, right? And so it makes it so that I can see everybody else. That may be hybrid. And keep that in mind, it's about that hybrid experience. All right, some other quick mentions so we can get to the panel discussion. Some public preview, permanent demolition of Power Platform. If you're utilizing Power Platform and you have, users that are in there, they should not be in there. There's going to be some updates happening that will help be able to automate some of that. People added people to a group chat that got pushed back, and these are all this is actually a good one, by the way. So at the mention, if you were to add somebody into that chat that's not part of that group chat, in the past that would fail. Right now, when you do that, it's automatically going to be adding that person into that group chat. So say, for instance, it's Bob and Mary and I bring Kevin in, and I just say mention Kevin. Kevin will be automatically added to that group chat. So it's going to be a lot easier experience. Some adjustments in the admin center and the adoption, new insights and page redesign for meeting. We're going to get some more information on meeting insights on your adoption page. So please make sure you take a look at that. And they're adjusting some of the logic on that as well. Loop components for Word. And this one is targeted release here, early December to late, or I should say early February. And what that's going to be able to do is you can take the loop components, bring them into a Word document and use them in that Word document. Again, loop components can be utilized in Teams. We can utilize them in other areas. And again, it all stays the same content in all the areas that we're using it there. Purview one, especially about maintaining that label. If you have a label associated to a document and you create a PDF based off of that, that label will retain from that. So keep that in mind if you're utilizing information protection on that. And then a couple things that are retiring from the Office Mobile, keep in mind on those things. And the retirement date is December 31st. And then there's a new piece that's going into the Message Center. And I had to mention this because this is the Message Center section of our meeting. But there is going to be a relevance column that's going to be added in there. And it's going to take a look at, based off of what you're using for services within Microsoft 365, it's going to give you a relevance indicator. And you can, just like any other column, you can filter, you can do things with it from based off of that. All right, let me get off of my pointer. Some updates. These are, and just so you guys know, these are things that were announced and then got pushed back. And in a couple of these cases, some of these got pushed back on multiple occasions. So for instance, this one here, expanded reactions, is now second time this has got pushed back. That basically means that in Teams, you have a full set of emoticons that you can use for reactions to chats and group chats and one-on-one conversations, those types of things. This one's also another big one, being able to use distribution groups, mail-enabled security groups, and Office 365 groups in chat. That did get pushed back into January. And then for government, and GCC and DoD, this Teams paging on video gallery got pushed back as well. So if I have more than, people turned on more than cameras, then you can actually see, you can page it to the next page and see those. And finally, some admin action requires a couple new ones. You want to make sure you're following. One of the big ones is multiple Yammer networks within a single tenant no longer supported. That's changing here in May 2023, and they'll be going through all the tenants and making this change. Otherwise, you do it yourself. Please check that out in there. And then there is some hard blocks with SharePoint and OneDrive. Deploying hard block for IE 11. Specifically on that, if you still happen to have IE 11, even though it's not supported, you're not going to be able to access SharePoint Online. You're not going to be able to access OneDrive. And that is even if you're using Edge IE mode. You will not be able to access those services through the browser if that's the case. So make sure you're checking that out before that happens. And I think that's everything that I have for now.